How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of No Excuses on BTWProductions.com and YouTube.com with your favorite show hosts, Aristel.
Venerian.
And Volacel, and that was the longest 2 seconds of my life.
But,
I had to tab out of the game to unmute my mic.
no.
We are No Excuses, and we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week, or at least under normal circumstances, we'll be here to bring you the latest video games news, because that's what we ostensibly do. However, the industry has conspired to make that job virtually impossible for the past few months, ever since the Rona started. So,
It was actually starting kind of even before the Rona, admittedly.
yeah, it was starting to tail off, but the Rona thing really put paid to it. Nobody seems to be interested in doing any work these days. But yeah, so we're just going to basically fool around because we don't have much to talk about. I didn't watch the Devolver presentation, and that's about the only thing that happened in the industry this week.
Oh, that happened, right. There was a Nintendo thing as well where they managed to disappoint everyone.
Well, that's more or less what they do.
Yeah, from what I can gather happened is, everyone was kind of on board and watching the stream when they were talking about Paper Mario, and then they talked about WayForward's game about based on Bakugan, which is apparently still a thing.
Bakugan?
And in the space of under maybe 20 seconds, they lost something like 70,000 viewers.
I didn't.
Nope.
Number one, I thought that Bakugan was just a meme at this point.
I thought it was too.
Bakugan is like the secondary offshoot meme of Beyblades being a meme.
Yeah. You throw a marble and it pops open to a little dragon or something. That's what Bakugan is. And somehow they made an anime and a series of games around it. Instead of just being a cute little toy you can get out of a gacha, or actually a big gachapon, I suppose, if it's in the real world. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Bakugan, really.
Bakugan. At least the new Paper Mario game actually looks good. Unlike the last couple. Nobody wanted to stick a star.
I don't have a good feel for how consistent Nintendo has been over the past few years. I know that they do silly things like that not Metroid.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they were thinking with Federation Force.
Like, that's
also,
one of those things that Nintendo, like Sega, seem to have a crippling fear of money and success when they've got, an obvious route to take and they just don't take it.
Yeah, and they'll do something dumb instead, like, releasing Metroid Other M instead of throwing it into the sun.
Let's not start that debate again, please.
It's an argument we've had, and no matter how many times we say it, Ari will still be wrong.
I told you not to start the argument.
I think Fern keeps misremembering the argument every time he says we're not going to start the argument.
Yes. Anyway, on the stream today then, instead of actually doing anything, I'm not going to say productive, show-like, I guess, we're just going to play some PSO2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be streamers, like, unless that actually gets me out of going to work. I don't want to be a streamer.
We need to get really stupid haircuts before we can do that.
Yeah, I know. I will not be seen dead with a haircut like ninjas.
No.
Yeah, no.
Definitely
if
not.
I ever started streaming, that stupid ass hat that I have would be on my head every single time the webcam was on.
Also, we'd get nuked from orbit if we actually tried it.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Because
coincidentally,
opinions.
I meant to dump this in the in the show last week, but I didn't because I forgot. Fern requested 2 weeks ago. Oh, I didn't request, but he asked me how bad should your commute to work anyway. So I filmed the whole thing for him and dumped it on the YouTube channel. And if I can get to our dang, if I can get my internet browser to behave.
I was not honestly expecting you to do anything like that. But I'm more amazed, honestly, by the green. Green is a color we don't actually see in nature here.
Yeah, it's very green.
It is very
I'm
So-
not
very pretty.
gonna. I'm not going to film my commute to work. Number one, it's about 35 minutes long, and number two, I don't need evidence of the quality of my driving being preserved for posterity.
Technically, my job is all commute.
Yeah, you don't stop commuting.
Yeah.
So
So
the
my
video-
commute would be going out and sitting in a car.
So this is just a bonus for people that happen to be on this episode, since we're doing nothing.
We're doing nothing.
Have some extra YouTube shenaniganery. All right, I'm leaving the video unlisted. It's
Yeah, we don't need to find that.
but if you happen to be in our Discord, you can totally see it.
All right. So let's go beat something up, I guess.
So
Yeah.
you want to start a mission now, or what?
We'll knock the dailies out of the way.
I'm still waiting for Ari to join the party.
Oh, you got to
So-
tell me when you send the invite because I can't
Incidentally,
see it.
I revised my costume so I'm not quite so
loud.
loud and pointy. I do like this shoulder cape thing. That's kind of cool. Ari has not. He still looks like an angry shopping bag with a cowboy hat and America flag.
Yep.
What even is that costume? Also the rollerblades.
Yeah, the rollerblades.
You can't see the rollerblades most of the time because they're under the dress.
I'm pretty sure that every Southern Belle dresses like that. So
Yeah,
If they could, they would.
that's worrying.
there's a lot I don't know about the South.
You're just going to make things up. Let's just do that. All right. I guess we'll jump into what we did for these weeks. Unfortunately, my week has largely been taken over by work because we've started getting things open again, and I'm not sure what else to call it, but there is a severe case of pub lust going on here.
Well, people haven't been able to do it forever.
But you don't need to! Go home,
It doesn't-
invite your friends over, and then you can have all the fun of the pub without the shittiness of the pub.
It
yeah,
doesn't.
but then you won't stick to the floor.
Or stick to each other. You
Like,
might
the
actually
thing
get a
is-
drink.
The one thing that I remember, because I spend very little time in pubs because I don't like noise.
Hmm.
But the one thing that I associate most strongly with pubs is the fact that it requires so much effort to lift your foot off the floor each time you put it down.
Yeah. Even if they haven't been open for very long, the floor still becomes very sticky, very...
Is that all spilled beer?
Largely.
Is that legitimately all spilled beer? Because that is astonishing to me that people have so little control over such expensive drinks.
Yeah.
Well, it could be a lack of control of their pee when they have to go.
Let's...
No, I hope not.
While that is definitely a thing to consider, let's not consider it.
Yeah, there's a lot about that I don't want to investigate too deeply. So
Because it could be true.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
because it could
definitely
be true.
You remember what I do for a living. So, yeah.
Do you put plastic on your car seats?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's not plastic anymore. It's these really super heavy-duty car seat covers instead now. More of a reinforced mythical material called canvas.
That stuff must be worth its weight in gold by now,
According to Todd Howard, it
like
is.
precious metals. But yeah, I guess that's you periodically stick it in an autoclave or something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Take it out every now and again and hose it.
I don't think I would want to be driving Australians around on a Friday night. That just sounds like a horrible experience.
Yeah, you don't. And let's face it, the general public are disgusting.
Well, yes, that's what they do.
It is. So yeah, what really bothers me though is we've had a lot of people who've been saying, I haven't been to the poker machines in however long it's been, like 4 months
That's
now.
why you have money.
And look at all this money I have. Because a lot of them have just, instead of putting their money into the pokies, they're just putting it aside. And I said, look
For
at all
the
this money
pokies.
I have. Yeah, the pokies opened and all that money went straight into the pokies and disappeared for good.
Yeah. By which we mean, in case that's regional slang, I'm not even sure. That means one-armed bandits. That means slot
the poker
machines.
slot machines.
I thought that's what it meant, but it's not common here.
Yeah, the pokey is also jail, which is close enough, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what pokey means to us.
Yeah. So it means slot machines in this case. And it just boggles the mind. They think they're going to win big, and you never do, because the house always wins.
The slot machines are designed to make sure that you can't win. Actually, that's not strictly true. The slot machines are designed to tempt you into thinking you're going to win any second.
Yeah, you could potentially win, yes.
Because they have to. They have to make sure that people win enough that people think it's plausible. Oh, no, not Little Pen messaging. Let's not do this quest. It's the worst quest in the world.
The amount of silly research and thorough research, and you know it's accurate because it makes people money, in the psychology of how to efficiently rig your slot machines so that they pay out just enough to get people to pay more than they win is nuts.
Oh, yeah.
It's nuts that they spent so much money, since we all know the only thing you really need to do is have it pay out in waifu JPEGs.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not even remotely wrong.
As my week amply demonstrates.
I walked away and had for a meal at one point. Just as our Vor was starting up, I think we'd finished talking about the abomination that is the sole representation of Australia in the Azure Lane setting. Why, by the way?
I'm quite happy with my hometown's representation in Azure Lane.
But I came back a while later after getting dragged off to do various other things, and there's something like 300 messages of just gacha angst.
Yeah. It was a rough week. I'm here to tell you. My luck is significantly below average. When I told my brother what my pulls have been like this year, even he was appalled, and he spent it took him 1,200 quartz to get Jolter.
It doesn't he turbo whale?
He thought no, he doesn't turbo whale,
okay.
But not turbo anyway. Yeah, his luck was bad enough that it took him 1,200 quartz to get Jolter, and he thought my luck was awful.
Wow.
So that's how bad my luck is. I haven't spent 1,200 quartz to get Jolter. Thank goodness. I don't have Jolter. But so since it seems apropos, I'll just launch into this piece of my week. It was the anniversary banner, which means GSSR and the Skadi banner. Now, Skadi, as I've mentioned in the past, is incredibly critical because she is the thing that, by herself, completely upended the tier lists. Because in case of Merlin, a lot of Buster servants were high tier already. Before Skadi, almost all quick servants were mediocre to low tier. Mm-hmm. There are exceptions, but mostly they're pretty bad. Skadi completely upended that and basically bumped everything up at minimum a tier, in some cases multiple tiers.
Or Dante's from the very bottom to the best servant in the game.
Yeah, well, the best servant for 99% of the game, that 99% being mindless farming. That's the Dante's looping basically can kill anything. Although it will also kill your motivation to play the game. That's been the overarching reports, is that it's too effective and people do it too much and then they lose interest in the game because of it. But basically, Skadi is such a powerful support that she enables the use of an entire class of servants that were virtually useless before. So it's important to get one. And so I had set aside 300 odd quartz to get it. And then I got another 300 on the day that I logged in because I had so many accumulated things that I hadn't cashed in. So I had 600 quartz to spend on it.
A lot of quartz.
I blew all of that quartz and 40 tickets on top of that.
Good grief.
And I got one copy of Arjuna and
second only to Sherazad.
Yeah, I got one copy just because you're a racist. And he's Indian, by the way.
It still counts.
Does it?
I'll take your word for it. But I got one copy of Arjuna and I got, what was the 4-star I got? I think I got a 4-star. But I can't remember which one. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't get anything. Maybe I just got Arjuna. That sounds like within range for my luck. Anyway, that's way below curve for starters. But at any rate, that's all I got. And I had gone through depressed and sort of out the other side to sort of, completely apathetic acceptance at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't care anymore. So I had put off the GSSR in order to do the other roles in the hopes that the calculus might change or something. I gambled on the caster banner. I was terrified of getting Sherazad or Tamamo, but worse would have been Sherazad. I could have survived with Tamamo.
Oh, you got to delete your account if you get Charizard.
No, I'm not deleting my account.
That ain't
I might
happening.
burn her. I might burn her, but I'm not going to delete my account.
She's really that
like
bad?
No, she's just ugly.
She just got unbelievably hideous art.
Ah.
Like
She's
just
just
a
fat. She is fat. Fat as fat can be. And she's ugly as sin.
Ugh.
Her thighs like wrap around her leg wraps. She's so fat.
There are people who like that. That's the problem. Anyway, I'm not really interested in that. So I gambled on that banner anyway because there was a lot of useful stuff on it, and I got the big titty monk. So bullet dodged. She was amongst the ones that I would have been content to get. She was the one I wanted the least, but it wasn't Sherazade and it wasn't Tamamo. So, because the second Tamamo is virtually useless. It does very little to improve her performance. But at least I got Sanzang, and she's a fun character. She's quite lovable, although she's not very clever. But she's also quite useful. Can we stop getting hit by the Vizbolts, please?
Sorry, I was poking away on the other screen for a moment and just getting wailed on when I wasn't paying attention.
I've only had to dodge like 2. They're not coming after me for some reason.
Yeah, it's because they were hitting the
predating on Fern and I. But I'm not upset with her because there are, for those of us who can't Skadi loop, because even though I have Skadi, I don't have any loop compatible servants because I'm not that lucky. I'm not Aristeal. But for those who can't loop, Sanzang is actually a really good servant for certain farming quests because of her battery. So not a wasted pull, but probably the one that I was least interested in of the ones that I was happy with because I've got Ilya. And Ilya has been...
Sanzang has a really cool Noble Phantasm as well.
It's still silly like everything else about her.
She bitch slaps a mountain, let's face it.
It's the Buddha palm.
It is the Buddha palm. But yeah, she slaps a mountain. Well, she slaps her opponent through a mountain.
Yeah. At any rate, there's a strange approach for a caster. However, she is in fact a caster. But so having done that, I had, of course, because for the GSSR, you've got to buy quartz for the GSSR. So since I spend money on FGO twice a year for GSSR mid-year and GSSR New Year, so I had shrapnel left over from the quartz that I bought, and so I was like, you know what, I do want Skadi still because it's too important, not just for the meta, but for actual flexibility in your roster because of the amount of power she lends to otherwise not so useful servants. So I'll roll my shrapnel on it. I got her in the first 10 pull after that. So obviously it's money that triggers the gacha, and that's what they want me to think.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they get you.
It's
dangerous. But so that was gacha. That was my gacha experience. Was just the sheer despair of rolling on the gacha literally all night. Like I spent an entire night rolling the gacha.
Yeah, it was sad.
I don't speed it.
Watching it, going down the list and seeing what you pulled is just. If you ever want an incentive not to play a game, that's it.
Yeah, this is how people don't play gacha games. Like this is they hear about experiences like this. The problem is that mine is sort of like the ideal experience for FGO. Like they spend all their quartz, and then they spend money at the end, and then they finally get it. That's that's what they would put on the poster if they're advertising to investors.
Yeah. They get you with the free stuff and then get you spending money.
Yeah. Like I've said in the past, the main reason that I spend money on the gacha, the main reason I justify it when it doesn't give gameplay convenience, like every time I've spent money on Azure Lane has not been for the gacha, it's been for gameplay convenience because I want to expand my dock so I don't have to clean it out so often. It's the same as buying inventory space on PSO2. I'm willing to pay for gameplay convenience. But in the case of FGO, I spend money on it because it's very, very hard to support the franchise if you live in the West.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of the franchise, as listeners to the show probably are starting to figure out. But Yeah,
if you aren't figuring that out, get the bucket off your head.
So I got Skadi. I haven't raised her yet because, let's be real, after that experience, I was too tuckered out to even contemplate the idea of Aurora Steel farming, which is a nightmare for everybody who doesn't have Skadi system already operational. However, you need Skadi system in order to do it. So, you need Aurora Steel to raise Skadi, but you need Skadi to farm Aurora Steel. This is how it works. Otherwise, you've got to do it the hard way.
That is.
Have we finished these dailies yet?
I was just checking that now. Oh, I leveled up from turning in some Mark's missions. We just finished.
Neat.
Let's see. Clan orders. No, not everyone. Outstanding. No.
We got Rappies.
Where the fudge is it?
Unfortunately, it's not Arcs Day, so we don't get the super good Rappies, which I need.
Yeah, I didn't get to play on an Arcs Day. It was made me sad.
I'm annoyed, actually. Yeah. There's a pet I can only get on Arcs Day.
Is it like a shiny, or is it actually unique to the day?
It is actually unique to the day. I can get a Rappy pet, which is essentially the Magikarp pet. It's really, really weak until you get it to about max level or something.
Well, just book leave on August the 2nd now, then.
Yeah. Just spend all day farming for Rappies.
But yeah, so that was FGO. I haven't gotten back into other. Oh, actually, the other FGO thing I did, of course, was the anniversary quests, which was also a nightmare because, when I get to the final boss, or at least the late stage bosses of a singularity, usually I'm sort of in the zone. Like, I've toyed with most of the relevant strategies to that singularity at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So normally I don't have too much trouble with the bosses. There've only been a few bosses that have really baked my noodle. In the anniversary quest, they bring the bosses back, and I could not for the life of me work out how I had done them. Like the fight against Megalos and Columbus, I walked over that the first time. This time I wiped over and over and over, and I could not remember how I had done it. Absolutely couldn't remember.
They got me down to her. Somebody had to 0 to hero and put the Glad and Gladiator at the end of that fight, because I just got bopped in that fight, and I have no idea what went wrong.
At any rate, I just ended up face smashing it until I got through, because, well, in the end, the strategy, as usual, hinged on Martha, because virtually every tough fight I have ever done ultimately comes down to either Martha or Kirihime or both. Like, it's how I do business. It's how I roll.
I think that's how most people do business. Like, I have all these nice, wonderful servants, but it's always just going to be Cleo and Dantes that come and clean up everything.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty much just, let's just throw Jolter at it until it falls over.
That's like, everybody who owns Jolter uses that strategy.
That is not a thing.
But yeah, I've got a level 100 Martha and I've got a level 100 Kirihime, so they end up being the solution to level 100 covers over a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that fight gave me pause. I think that was probably the one that I found the toughest out of the anniversary quests. The first singularities are pretty much a walkover. The challenges come from the intermission singularities. Those are the ones that are the roughest. Shinjuku depends entirely on how strong your lancers are and nothing else. Like, if you've got good lancers, that fight is easy. If you don't have good lancers, that fight is hard.
I'm so glad that I got Tamamo Beach.
I thought about using her, and then I said, no, I'm not using her. I'm going to use Kirihime again instead. And I got that fight first time, though, so it was fine.
Nice.
Yeah, I just had Tamamo Beach literally kick him in the butt. Or kick him in the nuts.
Yeah, it's a walkover if you've got Summon Tamamo. There's no challenge whatsoever. You can just wreck him, because he's just weak against that.
Yeah, she is my go-to single target lancer for anything that's a boy.
Yeah. The Agartha one was one I had difficulty with. It was the Megalos fight. Oh, right, yeah, I had a ton of trouble with Shimosa as well. And that was one I remember I walked over even more easily than I had Megalos Columbus the first time. I didn't remember anything about what I had done in that fight because I remember thinking, wow, that was ridiculously easy for a boss fight. It was not ridiculously easy this time. Everything went wrong over and over again. I think I attempted this fight more times than any other fight. Actually, I think I attempted this fight more times than I've attempted any fight in the history of my playing FGO because I could not figure out what I had done.
I haven't unlocked that one yet. I'm still behind.
By the way, we should probably queue for the urgent quest.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm just trying to get out of this talkie thing.
Talkie? Oh, right, talkie thing.
Yeah, Hans is talking. But yeah, that fight is against a Rider and a Berserker. Each of them have 2 break bars. The problem is that the Berserker in this case is Shuten, and Shuten has the nasty habit of using Charm all the time.
Oh dear.
So, yeah. I put the quest up. Does it?
Yeah, we're just waiting on Ari to press the button.
Yeah, so that
I don't have a button. I was in a menu.
Oh,
well, go bring it up then.
I'm trying to find it.
When you press escape, it should come up at the top of the screen. In theory.
In theory.
Okay.
This is one of those things that the game doesn't tell you about.
Okay, I had to undo controller mode to find it.
There we go.
Japanese UI.jpg.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Shimosa fight, the main reason that the Shimosa fight is complicated for me is because of my gacha luck. Because you must take Musashi as your support for that fight. And she's not even a maxed out Musashi. She's a Musashi with 2 out of 3 abilities at level 80 or something like that. Also... Oh, that's unavailable. Oh, yes, this is urgent quest. I forgot. So you have to take Musashi, and she must start in the front rank.
Oh dear.
So yeah, the constraints can be kind of irritating. So yeah, that was a really tough fight. I got through it in the end again by just spamming the crap out of it, and in the end, how did I solve that? I think I used Martha and/or Kiyohime. That's just my solution to so many things. So yeah, Azure Lane we're in a sort of a beat week at the moment because a major patch hit and everybody is furiously farming for HMS Cheshire. Like she appears to have taken the fandom by storm, and is all anybody gets about right now. Well, I don't think she looks that underage or anything. Like no. there are worse proclivity than cat. There are worse proclivities than Catgirl maids.
That's true.
Especially in that fandom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the priority season 3 is out. I'm like 20% of the way through season 1 still because you have to grind like a mofo in order to complete priority ships. It's just you need a huge amount of time on your hands. A lot of the people who play Azure Lane, they play it as their main game. Mm-hmm. It's just the thing they spend most of their time doing because that's how long it takes to get these priority ships. I really should play a little bit less sloppily. So yeah, we're in sort of a beat week for that. It's not nothing particularly major happening, but there's the rerun of Ink Stained Steel Sakura event next week, I think, which is critical because that event has the Nagato gacha, and Nagato is probably the single most important battleship to get your paws on if you build fleets themed around a particular faction, which is all of my fleets. Mm-hmm. So I've got all the pieces to do the French fleets, and I've got the pieces I need to do the British fleets. I don't quite have everything I want for Imperial Japanese Navy. So I need to get some luck on the gacha. Azure Lane has been relatively friendly to me gacha-wise. Like, I get most ships in any given event, I will get eventually. So, yeah, I'm not confident per se. However, I'm not despondent the way I am with FGO.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were in a FGO gotcha mood when you were messaging me when you were rolling it, and I'm like, oh no. Because there's no right answer to somebody that's getting absolutely reamed by the gotcha.
No.
So
especially if you happen to be Aristeel and have never been reamed by the gotcha before.
Yeah, the gotchas, I can't think of a time the gotcha itself has been mean to me ever in FGO.
The gotcha is nothing but mean.
I mean, I've had some drops that just don't drop, but even then, the gotcha is usually pretty nice to me. Uh-oh, I got caged by this dude, and he ate me.
Well, that was silly. Don't do that.
I forgot he had a grab.
Yeah. You got suplexed?
No, he ate me.
Oh, right. That's the other ones that suplex you.
Yeah, so the other thing, of course, FGO is doing a rerun of all the Statesmen at the moment. So if you don't have Bunyan, this is your opportunity to get Bunyan.
I felt bad. I couldn't just burn the Bunyan that I got, so I got it to NP5 and stuck it in my second archive because it's Murican. I can't just burn a Murican.
Yeah, I always feel bad. I always feel bad about burning the servants from previous events, but I usually end up doing it in the end. But now that we have way more second archive space, I might start archiving them because it was one of the things that came in the anniversary. But,
yeah, I got a little too gung ho early on in the anniversary with the new second archive space and bought a whole bunch of CE space.
Oh dear.
And forgot that there's also a whole bunch of important El Cheapo stuff on sale for Mana Prisms that you got to get in the gacha.
Yeah, limited time, no less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've had to go grind some hands and sell the silver cards to get me some Mana Prisms.
If you don't have Bunyan, get Bunyan. Bunyan's useful, being that Bunyan is a berserker who has the shortest Noble Phantasm animation in the game.
Yeah, and you can thank the manga for that entirely.
Yeah. Yes, it's all a play on the NP skip win joke.
Yeah. I
filled out the little year every so often survey they have on the Reddit to figure out how the player base is going.
The NP skip win poll, then, really.
Yeah, and I noticed there was an NP. What feature would you most like to see? And the most voted one was Noble Phantasm skip by far.
Yeah.
I think that I would actually feel bad about skipping Noble Phantasm, although that would not last very long because I did the Saber Alta fight, anniversary Saber Alta fight, which is the same fight that was done on the US tour, the same fight that was done last anniversary, and it's the same fight again. It's always the same fight. However, that fight, I think that she's got like 3 million hit points or something across 3 break bars.
Yeah,
it's a very, very long fight. And so I use the same strategy I use every time for this fight, which is Archeria, Jean, and just use Jean's Noble Phantasm every 3 turns or so.
Oh no!
Keeps a nice amount of health flowing, minimizes incoming damage, protects me against Noble Phantasm.
But you spend half the fight doing nothing.
Yeah, you spend half the time watching that Noble Phantasm animation, and you start to think that maybe it wouldn't be so bad to have a Noble Phantasm skip function.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
Luminous Eternal, non-stop is not your idea of fun times.
I am very fond of Jean because she is a saint that I revere, although not necessarily in her FGO incarnation. But there is a limit to the amount of Luminosité Eternale that I can take.
Yeah, watching it once per fight's enough, thank you very much.
It's okay. I'm going to be rolling hard for her swimsuit version because it has dolphins.
Oh yeah, she does. But the point is, if you're on a low-end device, and some of those Noble Phantasms just make your phone chug.
Yeah, I'm glad I play it on iPad Pro.
Yeah,
I'd very much like to roll for Summer Jean, but I don't have the quartz now because I blew it all on Skadi. Yeah, because I'm still trying to decide how I'm going to allocate what little quartz I can farm up during the rest of the year and of course there's at Halloween there's Shet and I, who I'd like to roll for, and at New Year's is Best Burb Benny Emma.
Best Burb,
who is Kia Hime's cooking teacher. So,
is Kiyahime a good cook in lore? I forget.
She is a good cook in lore. However, her cooking revolves almost exclusively around frying things.
So she's a southern cook.
Yeah, basically. She is renowned as an extremely good cook. Because it's one of the things that she does in order to try and be a good wife, right? That's her objective is always to be a good wife. So she is canonically an extremely good cook. However, she fries everything.
Does she cook things in a bell?
She would be the perfect Southern Belle wife then.
Yes. Except for the whole yandere thing.
No,
I don't think that she's a yandere anyway. I disagree with that. I think that she's just extremely devoted.
Extremely devoted, and so, oh goodness, that thing just bit my face off when I went to fly at it.
Yeah, it does that. Don't fly into its mouth.
Yeah, you don't fly into dragons' mouths. Yes, that's a thing.
Oh dear.
We were talking about yanderes.
We were.
Yeah.
The lack of Kiyahime.
Yeah, I think she's just very devoted. I don't think she's a yandere. Like, the things that she, while she overreacts, the things that she objects to are actually bad things. Like lying and abandonment. Like, she is oversensitive. I don't think she's actually a yandere. She doesn't want to control the one she loves. She just doesn't want them to lie to her.
To be fair, oh goodness, that was a lot of projectiles.
I gotta get off this thing. Phew. That.
Did you just get wrecked?
I just got dunked on by that chameleon thingy.
I'm staying well away from the
I
chameleon.
gotta change pet. Damn it.
Yeah, that freaking chameleon thingy is coming after me at the moment, and it killed me once already.
That broke my... Now, the worst thing about Summoner is if you need to change pet and you need, in mid-fight, you need to suddenly change strategy. Synchro's about to die. Or possibly I am. One of the two. It's basically the same thing.
That feeling when you're panic dodging because you're stuck in a corner.
Yeah.
Now, there's been a big dragon shooting us while we've been fighting these things this whole time.
It drops three bosses on you at once for the conclusion of this event.
I've been taking care of the dragon. I've had its full attention by myself for the entire fight because everybody else is fighting the other things. Someone that missed me. Don't give me that crap.
To be fair, I wouldn't call exactly what I was doing fighting. I was more dying horribly to the lizard thing.
You were fighting just the way a dragoon would fight in Final Fantasy.
Face down on the floor?
Yep.
That's the one.
But yeah, I guess I played a lot of FGO too this week, if we want to segue that way.
Yep, sure.
So my internet disappeared for a week and a half, for not a week and a half, but half a week.
Did you ever find out why?
Yeah, Comcast had a hernia.
Ah.
What, like the entirety of Comcast?
No, just in my region, one of the data centers just died.
Well, they didn't send anybody out to fix it?
No, we didn't have to have anybody come out to fix it. It was on their end at their data center. It just
they were there, but they didn't resolve the problem.
Yeah, they just were really bad at fixing it, and it took forever.
You know, in a normal market, that would make people leave and go to the competition.
But the competition's just as bad in the US.
I think there isn't any. They just subdivided up in between different companies.
Yeah, they have a technical monopoly over a chunk of the states.
I very well may have become a full libertarian tard if it wasn't for the telecom industry in the US to steer me away from that. It's that bad.
Yeah, it's bad enough to make conservatives want government regulation. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've wanted them to crack down on it forever. It's been just awful.
Let me feed my lag. Yeah. Admittedly, it's not a whole lot better here. We've got Telstra and maybe Optus.
Yeah.
And Telstra's awful.
Yeah, we have AT&T or Comcast, so neither of those are great options.
Yeah.
So yeah, this meant I had a lot of time to play FGO, and I used that time to do some grinding and get caught up. So first I realized I overspurred on the new inventory space, or second archive space for your Cs. I'm like, uh-oh, I don't have any mana cubes left.
No such thing as overspurging on space.
Yeah, so I had to go... I spent most of that time grinding hands because and selling the my inventory's acting. There it goes. and then burning all the silver cards for mana cubes and dumping all the yellow cards I get into servants to get them caught up, because I did the gacha as well. Vol did the paid gacha right after I did.
Yep.
And I rolled on the extra man because I do not have any alter egos or any foreigners. So I was hoping I wanted Abby specifically. Abby was my hope in that role because I think she's the cutest and she fits the gameplay niche I was looking for.
She's also arguably the most useful of the foreigners. Although I like Hokusai a lot because she's compatible with a lot of other classes as well.
Yeah, my judgment on this was entirely based on how cute they were, and I thought Abby was the cutest, but I have a thing for blonde hair, so there you go.
The waifu argument.
Well, I would probably still, I'd probably still pick Ui on the waifu axis as well. So she's got a pretty good look going in her Oiran look for her second ascension.
So yeah, I got Abby.
The hell is that?
I was very happy with that.
I don't know. That is a very strange panda thing.
Yeah, it's an enormous panda head with foxtails, I guess.
What's the fat Miku face?
Huh? What?
What's with the pink fat Miku over here?
We do have Toki Miku as well.
Oh, that's very strange, and I don't want to know.
Why
would
purple?
you do that?
Probably so people will stop having their podcast and go, "What the heck were you thinking?"
That's deeply disturbing.
And we've got two in the same group.
What? Who?
Yeah, we've got two showstoppers, I guess you can call them.
Right. Yeah. Like I can't comprehend what I'm looking at.
Anyway,
you see that panda head thing run around.
Anywho, yeah. So I got Abby, and I was really happy with that. And then I rolled for.
You weren't afraid you were going to get another Jean?
I was a little afraid I would have to burn a Jean, but I would just call it a sacrifice for the summer.
That would have been in very poor taste.
Yeah, yes, it would.
She would just be sent back to be reconfigured into the summer Jean that I'll inevitably pull in 2 tickets.
I don't think she believes in reincarnation.
I don't think it needs to be a reincarnation. She's just retooling herself a bit. So, yeah, I got Abby, and I rolled for Scotty, and I got her in much better time than Vol did.
Because of course you did.
I got her in about 120 quarts, and I think it was 20 tickets. So not that bad. That's pretty decent. And yeah, so with the hand farming,
that's about 3 times faster than Curve.
Yeah. So the hand farming, I was going to grind her all the way up to 90 and start my Scotty loops, but I knew I would most likely run into a material problem because I'm not caught up with the story. And sure enough,
everybody has run into a material problem. The only people who haven't run into a material problem are the people who have spent the entirety of the last 3 weeks preparing for Scotty.
Yeah, so I did not have the necessary materials to ascend her past level 70, and so she's got 2 whole ascensions left, and I just couldn't ascend her because I didn't have the ice.
You can farm ice from Lost Belt 1, but you can't get the Aurora Steel that you need for her without completing Lost Belt 2. And so there's a long road to get Scotty prepped.
Yeah, and I'm not going to do the Lost Belts until I finish the story for the sub-singularities. So,
are you allowed to skip them? I don't even know.
Yeah, you can. I could do Anastasia right now if I wanted, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I don't. There is some
yeah.
stuff that's useful to the story in the subsingularities in the original Japanese, but they removed it because they didn't know what it was talking about in the English. It's just another one of the many ridiculous translation gaffes that are throughout the North American version.
I still think the funniest localization is them de-blackifying Emiya Alter.
I really objected to that, and I couldn't find anybody sympathetic because I just don't like the idea that you can tamper with art.
I thought it was mostly funny because of their justification for why they did it. It's like, oh, we need to be inclusive, so we're going to remove the only like super duper dark skinned character we have in the game.
It's not going to stop anybody from referring to him as Detroit Emiya.
Because according to Japan, black people only exist in Detroit.
Yeah. Gotta love that old Japanese xenophobia.
Well, it's not. It's just they don't know.
They don't know. They don't understand. Yeah.
They don't have that many foreigners over there.
I mean, there are lots of people who think cowboys only exist in Texas.
This is true, actually.
No, there are no other ranches anywhere else in the world than Texas.
I mean, Texas does have a whole lot of them, but...
To be fair, I'm living on a landmass that doesn't exist to some people, so, yeah.
You think you got problems?
Yeah, you exist in myth.
Like, not only do most people not know that my country exists, but the people that do think that it's part of your country.
Yes.
Yeah, the only reason I know
you're the eighth state. Well done.
Oh goodness.
So rank above or below Tasmania,
or possibly inside of.
Yeah, you know, Vol, the only reason I knew your country was a actual separate real country before I met you and Fern was because of the Lord of the Rings movies. And watching
that's true for most of the world.
Yeah.
Most of the world only knows about New Zealand because of Lord of the Rings. And thank goodness it was a good trilogy.
It was.
If it had been bad, I don't think we ever would have lived it down as a nation. Because, I mean, the last big blockbuster they filmed here was The Last Samurai.
Ew.
Yeah.
The original or the remake?
The Tom Cruise.
Ew.
Oh dear. I don't even remember the Tom Cruise version.
Nobody likes Tom Cruise.
It had Billy Connolly in it.
I mean, Billy Connolly couldn't even save it.
Is he alive? Like, I haven't heard from him in a while.
No, I don't think so. I think he died a couple of years back.
Ah. You say a couple years, but if we look it up, it's going to turn out to have been like 15, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Definitely wasn't 15 years ago. Because he did that real good movie maybe 10 years ago with The Man Who Sued God. If you haven't watched that, go watch it. It's great.
Yeah, I remember Billy Connolly saying on television when the filming of that was going on that he had all of his scenes done and recorded all of his lines as soon as possible because he wanted to go fishing for the rest of the filming period.
Yeah. So he just turned the whole thing into a big holiday in the end.
Pretty much.
Oh my goodness.
You can't blame him.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. What was I?
What were we talking about?
My what I was doing in FGO, right? So the other thing I did was I got caught up on all the rank up and interlude quests I've missed in my time away from the game.
I've never been caught up on those ever.
I still have There's a few silver servants like Billy the Kid that I just never seem to have the materials on hand to ascend when I get done with whatever I'm ascending. That I can't finish for, but I've got most of them.
Yeah.
I used to have every.
By the way. Sorry.
I spend way too many materials on skill ups to deal with stuff like that.
Yeah, skill ups are secondary to finishing the interludes, and even if I'm not going to watch or read the interlude at the time, I want it unlocked so I can go through and read it later. It's just one of those things where I don't like story being walled off with something like that. I'm okay with it being locked off if I haven't finished the priest chapters yet. But if it's just sitting there taunting me, I may decide I like this character later and want to see their interlude. I want to have it done. And they're also a good way to get a whole lot of random, just good materials that you don't really think about, like Proofs of Hero and Void Dust.
I'm really low on Proofs of Hero right now.
Yeah, a bunch of
because of the aforementioned skill ups.
Yeah, there's a few of them that'll dump like 12 on you, so you can rebuild a nice small stockpile doing the interludes. So I've mostly kept my interludes cleared. Rank up quests, I don't have a bunch of my 3 stars at max, so I don't have all the rank ups set up for those guys. And I've been trying to catch up any gold servants that I just haven't had time to level up. Like, I had poor Berserker Lancer, the Car Horn. He's been working his way to level 80 slowly, very slowly, as I just occasionally come across stray Berserker EXP cards while doing the EXP farming daily. But he's never quite made it, and he finally made it to level 80. So I can finally use the Car Horn if I feel like it.
Honk.
And is now, he Phantasm 2 or higher?
I think he is.
Because then he can.
No, he's not. He's not MP2 or higher. Because I had to get him out of the pick. I think he took out of the pick 1 gotcha.
Right. Yeah. NP2 or level 100 Lancelot can Scuddy loop.
There's an invincible shaman here. I've been beating on it and it's not taking damage.
Leave it.
But it might just be on my screen because I hit a lag spike a little bit ago.
Yeah, invincible mobs and MMOs is traditionally lag.
Yeah. To be fair though, the netcode in this game is actually quite good.
Yeah, all the other enemies are fine. It's just that one shaman that was running away off screen that wasn't taking any damage. But yeah, what else? So Vlad III has become my new Berserker dump.
Is that the extra one or the?
Yeah, Fate. No, that's the not extra. The Apocrypha one. I got the 5-star Berserker Vlad on some random pull I did a few months back.
Yeah, I got mine on a random pull I did as well.
I didn't particularly want him, but he just kind of showed up, and I haven't had the motivation to seriously put any time into getting him anything. So he's chilling in his 80s now after my hand farming spurred. And I've got most of my gold servants but almost caught up again. I had all my gold servants caught up in max ascension, max level. This stupid shaman is still on my screen and keeps targeting my dash.
Yeah, so yeah, you're getting... I think you've just got a bit of lag going on.
It's just I lagged whenever he died, I guess. You know what, I'll just use the turpet, then I can hit the boss. Yeah, shaman's still there. I'll just use the turpet and kill the boss with that. But yeah. I'm looking forward to finally sitting down and doing it. I think I'm finally in a mood again to chew through the story. But mobile games, I'm not like Vol where I can chain play mobile games constantly. I'm not that big a Fate fan. I like Fate. I like Fate a lot, but I'm not a super fan like Vol is. So yeah, I haven't played for a while, and I have to take these breaks when it comes to mobile games and gacha games like this.
You ain't going to catch me defending the idea that the gameplay is riveting in FGO.
Alright. Boss time again.
Yep.
Oh, he's on my face.
I think I'm just going to go play with the Dagrin.
Somebody got eaten by the lizard.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me, for once.
He does like you.
Yeah, he seems to be... Yeah, I'm the one that's currently tanking him. Oh, he found somebody else to go eat now.
Yeah, now he just threw up on me.
He seems to be throwing up on the group. He just killed like 2 people.
I want this very grumpy lizard this time around.
Oh goodness, he almost got me.
Come back here, pet.
Whoa, I wasn't paying attention.
No, it happened.
Alright, we have mags we can summon.
Yeah, you probably did do that.
I didn't charge mine enough during the... I don't know what the basis for the charging is, so I often don't end up charging enough. Probably because I use very few attacks to do most of my damage.
That might be it. As far as I know, though, it's just you do stuff in order to charge.
Yeah, mine's not quite high enough. I'm sorry. I can't summon it.
All right, there goes.
I think it's... Okay, good. The problem thing is gone.
Well, then you can come and help me fight this sodding thing.
I really hate his regular boss fight. It's so awful.
Which one? Barlodos.
Yeah, when you fight him in that wave tunnel.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, I hate doing it solo.
Yeah, I found you spend a lot of time just standing around staring at him while he faffs about in the walls.
Yeah, it's not great. And if you're really unlucky and out of position when he starts doing his big ball, you just die.
You just die. There's nothing you can do about it. Where'd he go?
Yeah, you have to be standing right... I found that you have to be standing right next to a gun turret when he starts to charge it so that you can break it in time.
Yeah. Where'd he go? He's buggered off.
He's been cycling around and around, so...
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, he's doing his little dive phase. There he goes. He was one gunshot away from dying. As soon as my bullet hit him, he fell over after he got done doing his whatever.
Yeah, there we go. And I think that'll be it for the urgent quest.
Yeah, usually you've got time to do about 2.
Yeah, 2 of those ones.
Unless you're there from the start.
I got lucky actually yesterday. I got to do the Las Vegas one twice. 3 times.
Yeah, I think I've managed 3 before on that.
Yeah. If you get a good group for one of them, you can usually squeeze in a third.
I need to restock my items.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, Paul, I don't know how you keep keeping on with the with playing FGO and Azure Lane both together like you do.
It's kind of
rough, especially when they sync up on important events. But yeah, I don't play either of them with the sort of dedication that's required to actually progress well. It's just it's not possible to do so. There aren't enough hours in the day. So yeah, it does actually sort of frustrate me that I like both of them enough to keep playing them. I kind of wish that I would just get sick of one of them and stop playing it.
I warned you against it right when you started it. I'm like, dude, that's not going to end well for you.
Oh yeah, but now you're invested.
Yeah, and I keep struggling with that because there's not really any good reason for me to be invested in Azure Lane because the story is so weak.
Mm-hmm.
But so many waifus.
So many waifus.
The character art is just really good, and the designs are really cool. So
the designs, in some cases, are completely incomprehensible.
It's true.
There is a waifu in there somewhere. There's about you can say for some of them.
Yeah, Champagne particularly from the new
Champagne, yes.
Priority series.
Okay, I see giant robot hands and half a waifu.
No, she's there. She's just there. She's just sort of suspended from the rigging rather than vice versa.
Okay.
Which the normal process is that you've got the ship girl as the centerpiece and the rigging is sort of attached to her. In this case, the rigging is basically all that's propping her up.
Right. And she had maybe really skinny, weird robot legs in that case.
She is very scrawny.
Yeah.
And flat as a pancake as well. But yeah, it's an interesting design. There's a lot of interesting designs going around for the Priority series. But yeah, I do sort of wish that I could just drop one of them, but I'm not quite at that point yet. I'll probably get there eventually because they both take too much time. The thing is that the amount of sort of customization and stuff that you can do in Azure Lane is just so far superior to FGOs. Like in FGO, you've got everything as preset, plus you can pick a craft essence. That's all. Whereas in Azure Lane, you've got control over every bit of your fleet's composition, every piece of equipment that they have, all of the different skills that they have. There's just a lot more stuff to do.
Speaking of, I like the new command code system they put in that we've noticed coming out for a while now. But
yeah, it's the sort of thing that makes me feel like insecure and paranoid because it's like, oh, what happens if I use the wrong ones?
You lose. Good day.
They're super hard to get hold of good ones, like really, really hard.
Yeah, they're like event locked or something like that.
Yeah, you have to be there for every event, and like I already know that there are certain events that just completely kick my butt because you cannot complete them unless you are sitting with your phone out 24/7. But yeah, I like the concept, but I feel like it's something that I would never be happy with, and that I end up saving a whole pile of good command codes for a rainy day.
Yeah, what I did was I just dumped 200k friend points in the friend point gacha. Oh, I got the Angry Mango during the start of that split.
Yeah, you told me okay.
So I got Ben Shapiro, the Angry Manju, and
is he still completely useless?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Like, he's just really bad. There are a couple of people who are really keen on making gimmick builds around him, but you've got to work really hard to make him good. It's harder to make him good than it is to make Saber Gi good.
My main problem with Ben Shapiro is that I'm going to have to keep him in my party like forever because he has an interlude that requires Bond 10.
Yep.
I want that interlude list cleared. I don't want any interludes in the interlude list.
Does he show up on there?
Oh, the ones that you need that require future Bond levels do show up on it.
Yeah, I know that, but I thought that he was the exception. I thought he's a hidden one.
Oh, he might be. If that's the case, I may not be as paranoid about it, but I'll still know it's there, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, I've known it's there, but I've not been attempting to clear it because it doesn't really make him much better.
No,
it doesn't really help at all. He's bad. He knows he's bad, so
yeah.
his thing is like a weak servant. That's his whole point.
He is a 0-star servant.
He's a weak servant.
I mean, that's why you don't be Ben Shapiro.
There are certain fights where he has bonuses, special bonuses related to him particularly, because his nature makes him the superior option in particular conflicts. But those are very, very, very few and far between, and you're still better off taking off somebody who doesn't have bonuses.
Wow.
Who can actually fight with a damn.
This is why it should have been Angry Italian instead of Angry Manju. I think a Null Servant would have been much better.
Null's a Sicilian. But yeah, I've got like 2 million odd friend points built up. So yeah. I could just roll hard for command codes but the thing is, like, what do I put them on? Can you overwrite them?
Yes,
rather
for free.
Than removing? Yeah, okay.
I tested this. That was the first thing I tested.
Right, yeah. Like, because I think that ultimately I'm going to have to solve that problem the way I solved the Grail problem, which was just to throw everything at Kihime.
Yeah, what I did was I unlocked everything on Cleo, I think everything on Dante's, and unlocked 2 slots on Sabershiki.
Yeah, I think I'll probably unlock things on Martha first because she's my utility knife that deals with every problem by punching it.
And if it doesn't work, punch it again.
That's okay. My servant that accomplishes that goal just throws snakes at people. I was also the only person that put Cleo as their favorite servant on the daggum survey.
Really? Well, I mean,
it's still early in the survey, but still, I was the only Cleo fan.
All the other people who like Cleo are busy browsing the Dingle Rumpus subreddit.
Yeah, that's true.
That subreddit has devolved into Miyu as a thought.
I mean,
and just making jokes about how Miyu is a thought. I mean, they're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
That's all they talk about now.
Yeah. Until the next Dangly Rum Rum game actually comes out.
Yeah.
The next one of those is probably gonna have it's gonna be, for all appearances, it's not going to be a Dingle Rumpus game, and then when people start playing it, it will gradually turn out to actually be a Dingle Rumpus game.
Tadaka's taking a break from the franchise anyway, so it's gonna be a while.
Honestly,
yeah, whatever. He's a notorious liar.
There's
no reason to believe that he's telling the truth.
He just made a Dapper Rubdown game all about lying. So, yeah.
He did.
Put any stock in it.
Yeah, he did do that.
If anyone actually realizes what game franchises we're talking about.
Well, we said... we didn't say it.
No, we didn't. We just went straight to the stupid
keep it that way. Don't say it.
I always use the same one, so people should have picked it up by now.
Yeah, we're talking about Dupa. I just gave it a nickname by
Just
accident.
gave you a go call. It's Dupa Looper.
I said Dupa Lupa automatically. Danganronpa.
There you go.
But yeah, I was the only person that listed Cleo as their favorite. Just to overemphasize, by the way, my FGO luck, and I'll tell you why I have that kind of luck in FGO specifically. The reason I have that kind of luck in FGO is because I care enough to play the game and like the game, but I don't care enough that I'm a diehard fan and really want anything.
Unfortunately, I really want everything, so that's why I get nothing.
So
except Sherazade, I don't want Sherazade.
Yeah, that's a curse over your account if you get Sherazade. But the just to overemphasize, a character I was going to that I had already grailed up to 100 and was going to foo up to max gold foos turned out to go from one of mediocre low tier, Swiss Army knife for squishy problems servants to the best servant in the game. The week his next banner was coming out is when we figured this out, and I rolled again and got into NP3.
Wow,
that's how ridiculous my luck is with the gacha and FGO mechanically.
For those that don't know, the whole point of the Skadi system with Dante's is that it requires about the best form of it, which even Ari can't do because very few people's luck are good enough to do the best version of the Skadi
I can do
system.
it. I got an MLB K-scope.
Don't you need like 1.5 of those or something?
Maybe not that.
No, actually, MLB K-scope's not good enough. It has to be a super scope.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can do the second best one then.
Yeah. That's the second best one is with the just an MLB K-scope. But you need to do the ideal one is MLB Super Scope, which is plus 2,000 attack. But although you if you rolled that many friend point gacha, you might be able to get there too. But the reason why it's so important is because it allows you to do farming with 5-drop CEs. Well, 4-drop CEs. 5 if you count the bond one. I mean, not the bond one, the support one, which may or may not be a drop one depending on what's available. But basically, it allows you to farm events as fast as possible, and it allows you to farm. I think it works on any farming node in the game at time of release.
Yeah, it does. I don't think there's anything that could resist it.
The only farming nodes that it doesn't work on are limited time hunting nodes, because they usually have a boss or two in them.
And even then, the raw power that Dante's gets, both from his upcoming interlude and the Skadi buffs, and having a decently leveled MLB K-scope, is just nuts. He can chew through about 250k at minimum, and that's if you're on the low end. Mine can probably hit harder since Season P3 and level 100.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
Good
anyway.
grief. I just looked at the time. We need to take a break and get off for this topic.
That's what my blader is telling me.
Yep. So we'll be right back after some music, folks. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Indeed.
Indeed. So, that whole thing became a massive tangent into ranting about mobile games.
Well, it's kind of a boopy week. There's not a whole lot happening or going on, so I was just kind of rambling to ramble.
Such a poopy week. I guess I could talk about the dumb I did this week.
Why did you do a dumb?
I did a dumb because there was nothing going on, so I had to do a dumb to potentially generate show content. And, oh boy. So, I played Jump Force.
Why?
Yeah, I told you I did a dumb.
Fern, why do you do this to yourself?
I don't know. Sometimes I just seek out and deliberately play bad games, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why.
You're a glutton for punishment?
That's probably something to do with it. So, I'm going to start with the good things. Okay, that's it. Moving on.
That didn't take long.
No, it didn't. Alright, the character models are nice. Most of the time, sometimes, and only half the time.
They're nice in the sense that, well, they are what they are, and it's pretty difficult not to land smack in the middle of uncanny.
Oh, I'm getting there. They are nice in combat. When you actually see them in motion, they're fine. When you don't, and
when you get time to really take them in.
When you take them in, and you will, because it's got a hub world when you're in between missions, like the one from Xenoverse. And remember that, like from Xenoverse. Or, basically, let's just call it the Bandai game, because it is the same for all Shonen Jump games made by Namco Bandai. Xenoverse was the same. The One Piece one was the same. J-Stars, I think, was the same. I'm pretty sure there was a Bleach one at one point. All the Naruto ones. All the same game. Mechanically the same. They look the same. They play the same. They're all balanced the same. And by balanced, I mean they're not balanced.
I haven't played any of them, so I don't know.
Alright. So what it is, it's a very basic fighting game. You're given a few buttons. Your main options, though, are your heavy combo, your light combo, and then you hold your trigger down to charge up power and execute special attacks that way. And they all basically play the same way. There's other things you can do, like dodge and block and all that. But that's basically what you're going to do. So you make a combo and try to combo into a special attack. Which, for some characters, is easier said than done. Of the characters I played, some were okay. Like, I liked Asta. He's very slow up until the point where he stops suddenly being slow. Though they didn't bother to put any sort of animation or particle effect on his second sword when he pulls it out. It just...
What do you mean?
Well, normally...
It's just a stick.
No, it's his not second sword, but normally when he's...
No, but I mean it's as mundane as a stick.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, it's just... Suddenly, it's just there. And I don't think they've... Well, they do have attacks, particle effects on it when he uses it actively. But his basic stances and even his simple combos, he only uses his greatsword. So whenever he suddenly needs the second sword, it's just suddenly there. He doesn't pull it out of his tome.
Oh, so it just materializes.
It just pops into existence. Not even a sparkle. It's just suddenly there. Some characters were fine. Sanji was... I liked playing Sanji up until I found out that they went with the accurate Sanji. Sanji from One Piece has a crippling weakness. And he has it in every game he's been in. And that is he cannot attack women. He goes into stupid mode.
So if you're fighting against a female opposing character, you are somewhat ineffective.
You're completely useless, yeah. I don't know if it applies to Biscuit, because he doesn't, at least in the anime, he doesn't do it against children, but Biscuit is, like, 90% of the time she's a little girl, and at the other rest of the time she's a JoJo character. Speaking of, the JoJo characters are also a lot of fun. So, as far as other characters go, there's a lot of the roster I didn't try, but I tried Gon. And oh boy, Gon is bad.
Who's Gon?
Gon is the hero of Hunter x Hunter.
Right.
He's a little boy with
a little black-haired kid.
That's him. His he only has really two special attacks. He's got his special Janken attack, and he's got his ultimate, which I'll come back to in a moment. The other two, what should be special attacks, are just buffs that affect his regular special attack, but you can't combo into them, and you can't combo out of them. So in order to use them, you've got to stand there like an absolute dummy and get potentially smacked around.
Fabulous.
Yeah. His ultimate attack is, if you've watched Hunter x Hunter, you know what he does. He basically does
doesn't that like depower you at the end of it completely?
In the anime, it basically just takes him out of the final arc. He's completely out of it. And it does the same thing here. Once you use it, Gon is KO'd.
Like dead.
That doesn't seem useful.
He's not dead, but because he's got to climb a tree and then go to space at the end of the anime. But yeah, that's actually how Hunter x Hunter ends, by the way.
Going to space.
Yeah. Gon basically says, "Hey, Dad, let's go to space."
Yeah,
that sounds an awful lot like the end of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Also, Portal 2.
Yeah, the dude just seems to have a thing where after he's written a show for a while, or a series for a while, and really just wants it to end, if he's not allowed to let it end, he just totally flushes the whole thing down the toilet.
The last arc of Hunter x Hunter is all about Killua and his sometimes sweet and little sister, who then turns into utter creep mode.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not...
this is Hunter x Hunter, by the way.
Oh, we have Visbolts.
Yeah.
Again.
And I'm lagging when we have Visbolts. And also way high in the air. How did I get up here? Oh, there's red things.
Yes. So yeah, Gon is probably the worst character on the roster, I'd have to say.
Is Yusuke in there?
Yeah, he is. I didn't try Yusuke, though.
You know, you say he's the worst character on the roster, but there is a non-zero amount of charm to being so retardedly faithful to the source material.
Yeah. Like, I appreciate what they've done with both Gon and Sanji. Like, Sanji, it's kind of his big defining character thing. Is he's cool and calm and collected until a woman is around. In which case he turns into an absolute spaz. Gon basically does a massive self-sacrifice at the end of, I think it was the... what were they called? The Chimera.
Yeah, he does that. He absolutely murders somebody.
He murders the ever-loving crap out of someone. But, yeah, he basically eliminates himself doing it. He tears apart his own body doing it, really.
Yeah, he, like, loses all of it. Well, it's been out.
Spoilers. It's been out for a long time, so we can spoilers.
Hey, I've never watched it.
He essentially gives himself, like, 20 years of power all at once.
Yeah, the rules of the power system in that universe are you can make your power ridiculously powerful by making self-imposed restraints on it, like you will only use it under these circumstances, or it has a randomness factor to it. This will make it more powerful, but the restriction itself is the drawback.
Yeah, and it has to be an equal or opposite restriction, otherwise it won't work.
So Gon gets so hacked off at something somebody does in the Chimera Antark that he just wants to kill this person. It goes against everything he stood for the entirety of the show, and digivolves into Super Gon at the cost of saying he doesn't care. He'll use all the power he would ever have to take this one person out, and he does.
To be fair, at that point, the guy really needed to get killed.
Yeah, they did.
He really had it coming, but...
I gather that there are states in the United States where he needed killing as a defense.
In Texas, it used to be. I don't know about these days, but it certainly used to be.
This was either bad guy dies or the world ends type deal.
Well, it wasn't even that bad. This guy was just a douche that killed Gon's friend.
Oh, yeah.
The world ending one was fought by the leader of the Hunters Association, and he had the giant 1,000 Buddha palms.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what Gon does. Is he's fully prepared to die with this one attack,
and he gets all the experience and power he would have gained over a natural 20 years if he'd have done it normally.
Because good grief.
Yeah, he goes full Super Saiyan retard.
Is that where that picture of that kid with enormously tall black hair comes from?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks like a man. He grows up into a full adult.
Yeah, but it's still clearly the kid. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
never in the anime. They never actually show the top of his hair, and this is even in some extreme long shots. You still can't see the top of his hair.
I see.
Again, Jump Force, same thing for his animation, long shot, and you still can't see the top of his hair. I'm not even sure they've bothered to actually animate it. It probably doesn't exist. Anyway,
I guess this should be the real.
you can make your own avatar in the game. Why would you want to do that? You don't.
But the whole point of the game is to play as the Shonen Jump characters.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta sell it to the 13-year-olds, and being able to put your own Saiyan in there.
Yeah, aside from the haircut, though, they all look the same.
It is gonna. Yeah, he's gonna. But that's gonna sell to the 13-year-olds, and you know it.
Yeah. So you make your avatar and cobble it together from stolen attacks abilities.
When you're really young.
Yeah. Basically, if you played Dragon Ball Xenoverse, you know how this all works.
Yeah.
So the hub world, it's awful. It's just awful. There's a whole lot of empty space around the place where you can just wander around and not accomplish anything. And it's like, once they got the attack animations, the special attack animations, and all that into the game, they stopped caring. And so when they put a character into the hub world, they're only half animated most of the time.
My client order completed, by the way.
Oh yeah, even in cutscenes. That, by
Just
the way,
need the boss now.
they don't properly animate them, and they don't even animate their faces properly. So you've got that weird glassy-eyed jaw wobble thing going on, which some video games seem to think is totally normal. The quality of the models is also a little bit lower, and some characters, when they're not in motion, just look wrong. And I'll give you 2 examples, actually. There's 3, really, but one of them, Blackbeard is supposed to look deranged, so it doesn't really count. And that's Luffy and Sabo, both One Piece characters. Sabo just looks crazy, because he's got rather round eyes, which look fine in his natural form and in motion, but when he's just standing there, he's looking like he's staring at your soul.
I see.
Luffy is just wrong. Now, he's supposed to be a kind of a goofy-looking character most of the time, and in an animated 2-dimensional space, that works fine. But when you're trying to put in kind of a realistic look to the characters, he just looks really, really weird. So, yeah. There is a storyline. I have no idea what it is. I think it's just something like Shonen Jump worlds are crossing into the real world. Here's this guy who's probably a Dragon Ball character of some description, and a girl who looks like a bug, and they're doing a thing. You die, but not really, because Trunks stops you from being dead. Somehow.
Oh, they're doing the stupid time patrol thing.
Yeah, again.
That's
it's not time patrol. You are the Jump Force.
Cop out for why these crossovers.
Yeah. Instead of being the time patrol thing, which Xenoverse uses, is the Jump Force, where everyone's jumping between dimensions.
So it's totally the time patrol thing. It's just named something different.
Yeah, it's wearing a different hat. That's about it.
That storyline is stupid.
It is the same storyline they keep using.
It's what you would call an excuse plot.
Yes.
Even fighters had a decent reason for why their story was what it was and why everybody could fight at the same tier of power. And poor Yamcha didn't even feel the effects of the depressing wave because he was already so weak.
Is there a explanation for why children's card games are so effective?
Nope. Not at all. I didn't play through the story far enough to get Yugi to turn up. But when you start in the story mode, you have every character except I think Vegeta disappears off the roster for one mission.
Well, including like supervillains and stuff.
Including the villains. The villains are actually playable for regular missions. Actually, important story missions will restrict who you've got though, so you won't get the DLC characters.
What constitutes a regular mission? What is a day at the office for a Shonen Jump hero?
Go out into the street and punch a bunch of dudes.
The exit's up here, by the way, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I was mucking around waiting for wherever you guys were.
So yeah, you've got again, Xenoverse does exactly the same thing. You've got your story missions, or I think they're called trigger missions or something now. Which the first one is after they finish faffing about and making you run around in pointless circles for half an hour, is they send you off to go fight Vegeta, because of course Vegeta's turned evil again.
Vegeta.
Because every time they need a Shonen Jump character to turn evil again, it's Vegeta.
They really don't. They really aren't nice to Vegeta. Like,
They really aren't.
I hear in the latest part of the continuity, he gets to finally be the hero or something. But
yeah,
he gets a bunch more redeeming qualities in Super.
I still prefer abridged Vegeta.
He's
just an unrepentant asshole.
Android 17 was the ultimate winner of Dragon Ball Super. Freaking 17, who he hadn't seen forever, and has one of the few voice actors that actually supported Vic, wins the Tournament of Power.
Nice.
We got two of them.
So yeah, aside from the occasional mission which restricts who you can have on your party, then yeah, you can just use anyone at any time. Even if it makes no sense. And now, finally, for I suppose the coup de resistance. Let's call it, I don't know, make something up. This game has severe performance issues.
Now, Control had performance issues I told you about last week. Are we talking that tier? Oh, crap, I got
Oh, no, this is something entirely new. I've never seen this before at all. So, if you run this game at on the PC, I'm not sure if it does it on consoles, but you cannot run it at 60 FPS. At all.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it hard locked at 30, or is it performance issues?
It's not performance, actually, because if I run it at 60 FPS, I get 60 FPS. It runs smoothly and fine. What it does do is, for some unknown reason, it runs in slow motion.
What?
At 60 FPS. Yeah.
I've actually heard of this before, but I can't remember where I heard of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't about this game. It was some other bug in some other action game.
Yeah, there's been another game that does it as well, but I can't remember what it was. So, yeah, you basically doesn't matter if you twiddle your graphics around, turn down shadows, turn down model detail, all of that. Also, don't turn down model detail on Luffy. Good grief. Yeah, it makes no difference.
Really offended by that.
Yeah. Supposedly, it's supposed to have something to do with the online, but I disabled the offline, and it still does it.
Huh. That's really odd.
Yeah. So the only way I could figure out how to actually stop it from doing this was just turn it down to 30 FPS.
So it sounds like it's counting its actions in frames, literally.
Yeah, it might be.
So whenever...
It's like the old school setting the game timing against the CPU clock.
Yeah, except that makes it go really stupid fast in a lot of cases now.
That's what the turbo button on your computer was for.
Yeah.
It was only called turbo because go slower button wouldn't have sold well.
Or in some cases, crash your computer button.
Well, yeah, a lot of computers didn't like being suddenly underclocked.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's... Apparently, this game is also so exploitable that people will take advantage of this, and they'll set up a macro on their computer to rapidly toggle between 30 and 60 FPS in the game, or in a match, on an online match, just to throw off their opponent's timing. Because while it's going in slow motion, sometimes the game will just say, oh, you thought you blocked that, or you pressed dodge? No, you didn't.
It'll just eat your input?
It'll just eat your input. So, no, you didn't do that thing you just thought you did. Even though you had plentiful time to enter it. Nah.
So, like every Shonen Jump game with a competitive mode, it is unbelievably toxic.
Uh-huh. I didn't actually try to play the actual online mode. Because I know their netcode from history. And it's awful.
Man. I was so happy when I got hate mail in Dragon Ball FighterZ. I hadn't got a hate message in so long. It was Dragon Ball FighterZ that gave it to me after I'd missed it forever. You have no idea how happy that made me.
But you weren't cheating. This game is cheatable to the nth degree. What really surprises me, actually, I looked on the PlayStation Store yesterday, leading up to this. They still want, on the Australian PlayStation Store for the base edition, $107.
They're nuts.
They are insane.
What?
The special edition is currently on sale for about $50, which makes no sense.
So ballparking the standard edition in US dollars, that's around $75.
Yeah. That is with zero DLC, by the way.
We're still talking about Jump Force, right?
Yes. You didn't turn over 2 pages accidentally. We're still talking about Jump Force.
Like, if it was $15, I would probably buy it.
If it was $15, I would actually buy it and probably have a good time with it. But I put it to Steam, even though because I spent an hour trying to figure out how to get the game and working and not actually playing it. I went over the 2-hour limit. But Steam still refunded it with no questions asked.
So
they know. They
know. I just said, game is broken.
So, Fern, what inspired you to play this game? Or do me and Vol just need to put you on Suicide Watch?
Probably a bit of both. It's a game I did want to try beforehand, but I could never justify it.
So was it just you saw it on the sale?
Saw it on the sale. Figure, okay, I'm going to try it for the 2 hours and refund it. And that's what I did.
I see.
Like, for what it is, $20 would be an absolute excellent purchase price for it.
Because I really like those kind of brainless games, and
yeah.
I like some of the Shonen Jump characters at least. I'm a deeply ashamed fan of Bleach still to this day.
Yeah, like playing some of the characters, like Asta is a lot of fun. You just basically turn on black mode and tornado everyone to death. Or Yugi is actually a lot of fun, even if he does look like he crawled out from a rock in the Uncanny Valley as well. But he looked weird in his home series as well, so I'm going to let that one pass.
Yeah, nobody ever comments on it, though. There's all these people who look like sort of pseudo-normal, if a little bit angular, with giant popped collars. And then there's this one kid with that hair.
Yeah, because what is that
What's
hair?
wrong with your hair?
Oh no, he's got a bad case of protagonist hair.
And what's wrong with his hair?
What's wrong with your face? Let's not even get started on characters exhibiting extreme emotion in the Yu-Gi-Oh series. Not unless you want nightmares. He's weird, actually, to play, though, because he's a long-range character in a game that's ostensibly about melee combat, which even has a button which just throws you straight back into melee range.
So does he just, summon Dark Magician and Celtic Guardian to do everything?
Pretty much.
Or Karibo?
He does throw Karibo around, I think, in one of his moves. But most of it's Dark Magician or Dark Magician with boobies. His ultimate is both of them at the same time.
It's Dark Magician with big boobies, thank you?
Dark Magician with big boobies. Kaiba is basically the same thing, except it's all dragons, but he seems like he's got almost a dead zone right in front of him. Because when he does his basic combos, it starts with him summoning Blue Eyes kind of above him, and then it does a sweep forward. But it seems like if a character is right up in your face, it just goes straight over their head.
I summoned Blue Eyes White Dragon in attack mode.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is he's Cirno from Toho?
Yes, I guess. I'm not sure who that is, but I'm going to say yes.
It's the blue elf from Imperishable Night? No. Which one was she a part of?
Cherry Blossom.
I'm just going to say Vanilla Hunters.
She's notoriously easy.
Because she's a character whose standard bullet pattern is notoriously easy because there's a dead zone immediately in front of her and you can just sit there and shoot her.
Right.
Yeah. She's the reason 99999 means a joke. The number 9 with a circle around it.
You ever see a 9 with a circle around it, like a billiard ball? That's referring to that's basically shorthand for Baka.
Right.
In those fandoms.
Yeah, and she's become known as the idiot because she has that dead zone.
Yeah, okay.
And she is pretty dumb. In
the reason why it's a number 9 is that there was a labeled diagram of this is a demonstration of what a Toho screen looks like. And it was labeled with numbered callouts for each part of the screen. And it just so happened that she was the boss on screen at the time, and she was the number 9, and the comment by 9 was Baka.
So it kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What other characters did I try? There's a lot of actual characters in the roster once you include the DLCs. But Midoriya, or he's just listed as Deku, I couldn't figure him out.
But he just punches and kicks.
He punches and kicks, but I think you're supposed to...
That's his entire shtick.
I tried him early on before I realised there was the Awakening system, which is what causes a lot of characters to change form.
But does he have... Is it bunny ears Deku, or is it shoot style Deku?
It's shoot style Deku.
Okay.
This is, in most characters' cases, it's them at their height of their power. For some reason, it's not Naruto.
Hold on, does that mean that Aizen is Butterfly Aizen? Butterflyzen?
No. Oh, hang on.
It could be.
I don't know. I didn't look.
Maybe his ultimate attack makes him Butterflyzen.
It probably is Butterflyzen.
Well, he'd have to sit in a cocoon for like 20 episodes first.
Yeah. So for some reason, you've got Naruto and Sasuke running around, and Sasuke's at the height of his power, but Naruto isn't. Naruto's like lost 10 years in age somewhere along the line, and yet Boruto is also there. It makes no sense. But,
it's all too hard.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on there.
I like Yusuke. He's just the simplest dude on the block. He has a finger and a gun that he shoots. Pew, pew. Spirit gun. That's it.
Yeah, I didn't try Sasuke.
Real good and he has spirit gun. That's his shtick.
Yeah. Who else did I try? Yeah. I'm gonna leave it in there without getting too much into it from that. But yeah, it could be a lot of fun. I could have a lot of fun with Jump Force. But the price is really not worth it at all.
Yeah. I think the thing that my experience with those types of games historically has always been, this would be really cool if they'd actually put some effort into making it good.
Yeah.
As it stands, they might be cute for an evening or two with your buddies, but after that, they're not worth it anymore.
Yeah, there's no competitive balance in there. Like, some characters are just ridiculous. Like Vegeta, if you let Vegeta go and let him get to Super Saiyan Blue, because he'll power up twice because reasons. Of course he does. He can stand at the far side of the arena and just Gallic gun you all day. And it's really, really annoying. There probably is a better way to get around it, but I didn't play it long enough to actually learn the tricks really properly. But there's just no balance. Some characters are just awful, like Gon. Others actually feel really, really good to play. Like Jojo is really fun to play because you just aura things.
Which one?
Jotaro.
Okay, so Stardust Crusaders?
Yes.
Okay.
It's also got Stardust Crusaders Dio in it.
Is the good Dio, or not the good Dio, the good Jojo?
Is the
second
JoJo.
one. That
is the second JoJo. Well, third JoJo.
No, second JoJo is way better than third. Stardust Crusaders is boring as crap. I can't stand. You couldn't pay me to cheat through that series again.
I don't want to go watch it again. Especially because at the end it's like, oh no, we've run out of tarot cards. Now what are we going to do? Oh, here's a bird.
Yeah, Battle Tendency is a way more coherent story and way more interesting.
Yeah. Right. What are we doing?
We're waiting for you.
I'm waiting for you guys to do a thing. Okay.
Hang on, I gotta pull my advanced capsules out of my bank.
We're all on the ship, waiting for you.
All
need D-type, 10 D-type, and we need to hang out until we all get 10 E-type, so that we can actually move on to the next one.
Do I have 10 D-types? Yes, I do. Good.
So yeah.
There are other games like you've got, what is it? J-Stars Ultimate or something like that? basically the same game, except it's got a lot more of the comedy characters in there. Also, Koro Sensei, who is a comedy character right up to the point where he stops being a comedy character. Then it just makes you cry. But that game, I think, last I looked, was maybe $20 for the same experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, they I think that they just spent all of the budget that they had on improving the graphics engine and then didn't really bother about the actual art or gameplay.
Yeah, like when the game gets going and characters start throwing combos and things around, the camera's spinning all over the place, it looks fantastic. But everything else is just half-assed. It didn't need to be half-assed, but it is. They could have at least put 3/4 assed into it.
Oh my.
Yes, it's just insufficient ass. Let's go with that. Also, no Yuno. I'm surprised, actually. There's no Yuno in there. You got Asta, but no Yuno.
Oh, that you know.
Probably there's just not enough weight to the series yet.
Maybe.
I thought you were talking about Yuno Gasai. I'm like, was Mira Nikke a Shonen Jump property?
No,
It doesn't sound like it.
Besides, there's probably too many murders that go on in that one.
Less murders and
although,
more.
again, Death Note's in there. So,
yeah,
I mean, maybe murders aren't a disqualifying factor.
So I guess does Light just write in the book the entire time?
I didn't actually try Light. I should have, but I assume that's what he does.
But that just kills people, right? I read one volume of Death Note, so I don't know if there's anything else that the Death Note can do other than you write somebody's name in and they die.
That would make sense for his ultimate, is he writes a name in the book and the character dies.
That's literally all it does.
Like, so how do you fight with that power?
There are other things a Death Note wielder can do, but Light canonically never uses any of them in the series because they require you to have your lifespan.
Yeah. So presumably his Shinigami friend does all the work. I can never remember his name.
Ryuk?
Yeah, Ryuk, thank you. That's it. Yeah. You've got a couple of characters in there from Bleach. You got 2 characters from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Who's the other one?
One of the villains.
Is it a villain or is it a PA?
The giant muscly guy.
Oh, Toguro. Younger Toguro.
Yeah, I think that's him. One Piece characters, I think there's 6 of them. Dragon Ball, I think it's got Goku, Vegeta, Trunks. I think that's it. So yeah, they're not exactly balancing their representation. I suppose the villain and villainess, I guess they're villain anyway, counts for the Dragon Ball tally. I'm not sure if they're actual canonical characters or not, but they look like Dragon Ball characters. Oh yeah, and Boo as a DLC.
As a DLC.
Yeah.
For a game that you shouldn't pay full price for to begin with.
Yeah. And
maybe it just has like this very specific fandom who have no standards whatsoever when it comes to games. It
really does.
I was about to say, you mean Shonen fans?
Yeah, Shonen Jump fans, in other words.
I mean, I like poking at the occasional Shonen, but I ain't into it. But the people that are into it are really into it.
Super into it.
Are you talking about, a certain demographic in Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
I wasn't actually, but now that you mention it.
Because that's something that I really noticed, and it was reflected to me by other people that I talked to, is that Maori kids of a certain particular age bracket were fanatical about Dragon Ball Z.
It was that way with low-income families here as well. We'll say that.
Yeah.
But what's even more racially divided is
the show always goes down this road.
Because of course it does.
I just want it on the record. It was not me that did it this time.
It's usually me, but it's usually me deliberately provoking you.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
So, yeah, the other series that is completely racially divided as a shonen, though, like, disproportionately so, is Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Has no white people that play in tournament.
Right.
Like, at all.
In the show?
No, like, in real life.
I mean.
Well, is there a 100% overlap between people who play the CCG and people who watch the TV show?
Oh, yeah, they all watch the TV show.
Which comes first?
The CCG, I think.
No, okay, so they play the CCG and then they get into the TV show.
Yes. Then they realize,
because I can't imagine anybody
cheat.
being inspired by the TV show.
I can be inspired to cheat in the TV show. I mean, that's kind of what the Millennium Puzzle does.
I mean, I have a lot of theories as to how it got this way, but none of them are safe for air.
Yeah, let's not go down that road, please.
A few of them.
I feel so bad for Fern a lot of the time.
I just gotta sit here and watch everything go up in flames every week.
Drafted as the only sane man.
I don't want to be.
Life would be boring if there wasn't people like us, Fern.
Think of it that way. It's true. It is very true. Although I probably just will have to spend some time lately just going back and catching up on what the Flat Earthers are doing.
The Flat
Earthers? Are you categorizing us with them?
No, but that used to be for a while actually before Chaz came along, really. My go-to when I just wanted to laugh at stupid people.
Well, the thing is that some of the Flat Earthers have some pretty convincing and sophisticated theories. Like, they don't make sense.
They don't make sense.
If you actually pick them apart. But if you just look at the rhetoric and the presentation, they're actually very cunning.
They are. That's how they get people on board in the first place. But, yeah, it's like, if you look at the science, even if you ignore the existence of photos from orbit...
Well, you can just grant that all the photographs are going to be dismissed as fakes by them. Like, that's your starting premise.
That's where you start.
Which, to be fair, I also dismiss all official sources on literally everything.
Right.
Yeah, like now that Elon Musk has sent something up there, we can say with some confidence that space exists.
Is it cat powered? Presumably. Given Elon Musk, I wouldn't put it past him.
If Elon Musk came on Twitter tomorrow and said the moon is actually made of cheese, there is a non-zero chance that the moon is made of cheese.
I'm not going to give him too much credit considering what he named his child.
No, it's specifically because he's a nut.
He is a nutcase.
Yeah, because he's not just saying the conventional thing, but he's also not just nuts in a conventional way.
Yeah.
He has enough brains to put a spaceship in orbit and is just insane enough to not give a crap about what the mainstream narrative is, that if he sees something different, he'll call it like it is.
Yeah.
So Musk is a fairly good barometer for things. The dude sold flamethrowers just for fun.
This is true.
Yeah, he made a flamethrower factory.
He made a flamethrower factory for giggles. Yeah, he is the best kind of crazy.
He's the sort of like the capitalist.
Yeah.
Like, he is what I would do. I would be if I went into business.
You're already in business.
I run a business, but if I went into business proper, I would definitely turn out in the same species type as Elon Musk.
When you have that much money, you just can no longer give a crap, and you can just do whatever you want. Love it. But yeah, anyway. What were we talking about? Never mind. Move on.
We're talking about cat girls for domestic ownership.
We were? How did we get from that?
I don't think we were.
Oh, no.
So, I guess I have a little bit of something we can segue into, because I did one other thing this week. A lot of, since I had no internet.
That sounded severely alcoholic.
No, it wasn't alcoholic. It was just there's a rubber seal on this flask because I hate drinking warm water.
Ah, yes.
So it's a vacuum flask.
Crap, I got stunned right in the middle of everything.
Well, don't do that.
But So if we need something else to talk about,
Yeah, go for it.
This week I played a whole lot of VR stuff. Like a whole
give us the
lot of it.
rundown. Sell us the VR experience.
So
Step
I
one,
lost Falls.
throw up.
So no, actually, I found myself able to adapt to games that don't have the teleport movement. It did not come naturally. It was something that took a bit of practice, but I've eventually found a way to just manage it. And I'm not entirely sure what's different. It's just, I guess I'm accustomed to the headset at this point. But all of a sudden, one day, that wasn't an issue anymore, and it used to be a huge issue.
Well, I never went through the teleport movement phase. I jumped straight into the the conventional movement from the word go, and that was not fun. I didn't get motion sick or anything, but by the time it was over, I felt like I'd done all that walking myself.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's fairly normal in VR. When you first start it, I recommend you do the teleport movement because motion sickness is a thing. Even if you think you don't have motion sickness, apparently it helps considerably in easing you into VR.
Well, I was playing an action game, so you can't do teleports like that.
Yeah. So, after a while, though, I just have noticed that all of a sudden I can handle games that allow normal locomotion, where you press the stick to move and your character moves, instead of having to teleport. I'm not sure why. It just happened, because I used to be really, really easy to get motion sick with that movement style. So this opened my...
sometimes with regular motion sickness, you just get used to it.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, that's why most people who get car sick a lot when they're young, as they get older, they just do less and less.
Yeah, it just kind of...
A lot of them will never really get over it. Like, I never really got over it, but I don't get sick every time I go in the car anymore.
I'm fine as long as nobody drinks orange juice. This is a child thing. Wherever we get motion sickness, inevitably our parents would give us juice boxes.
Ugh.
On long car trips, and
they'll get warm in the car, and warm orange juice is cancer.
Yes,
agreed.
It's the smell of orange juice while in a car is always going to be kind of one of those things. Just makes me kind of go, ugh.
Yeah, that's
the thing with smell is that you can usually for drinks that are normally cold, you usually can't smell them until they get warm.
Yes.
Ugh.
But when you have 5 children in the back of a car, all with juice boxes, things get sticky.
Ugh. Yeah, I'm familiar with the association concept you're talking about, though, because like the worst case of food poisoning I ever got, the last thing that I ate before that was chocolate pudding. Like it was just like a self-sourcing hot chocolate pudding.
Oh no, and that's ruined for you.
And I can't smell it without feeling sick anymore.
No, not pudding.
So I can't eat it at all. Period. End. Like I just feel nauseous anytime I smell it, and it will probably fade in time. But for now, it's a complete non-entity to me. Like that's not even food anymore to me. It's just a bad memory.
Yeah, technically it isn't food in the first place, but still, that's a shame because self-sourcing chocolate puddings are awesome.
It's not even that it made me sick. It's just that it was the last thing I ate before a week of absolute hell, where I couldn't keep anything down for any great length of time.
Yeah. And yeah, the brain can just sometimes associate random things together, and then you're stuck with it. Usually it's not baseless connections, but sometimes it will just connect different things, even though it doesn't seem to be initially a reason for it.
Anyway, we're talking about VR.
Yeah, we don't want to get into psychology.
But yeah, it's so the games I played, I replayed a bunch of games that I played on the Oculus Quest, and the Rift S version is way better in general. And because I picked all these things up on the Steam sale. And so the first thing I did was Superhot VR. And having a proper computer where you can track your movement much better with the Rift S than with the Quest makes that game much more manageable to play. Because everything moves in super slow motion when you play that game when you're not moving. And everything speeds back up to not quite normal speed, but fairly fast when you are moving. And being able to figure out where your body is when you're playing that game is very important, because you have have to, while the time slowed down, steadily move your body into a position where you're not going to get completely wrecked by all the bullets coming at you, because one hit will force you to restart the level. So it took me forever to beat this game originally, and part of it was I was new to VR, but I've realized while playing through it again that part of it was just the quest tracking was not very good, and it would hit me all the time when I was clearly out of the way of stuff, and it was much easier to dance around and duck and dodge, and knowing that you have to just suck it up and do squats and bend over in weird ways makes the game infinitely faster to beat the main story of. And that was a lot of fun to go through again.
As far as getting someone who doesn't normally exercise to do it, that sounds like the way to do it.
Yeah. And Superhot is a very good game in VR. It's a cool concept that plays really well with VR, especially because the story is based around VR even before it became a VR game.
Also DOS for some reason.
Yeah, it's a very cerebral and crazy story. But it's neato, and they got a new game coming out soon. So going through it again to re-remember what was going on was neato, and it played much better on the Rift S. So with the proper graphics card, able to render more enemies and stuff with the challenge modes, it was a lot of fun. So that was that game. The other game I went through again because it has new DLC that I hadn't done, and I hadn't beat the game on PC yet, was Arizona Sunshine.
Ah.
And this game on the Quest.
Robot one?
That's Robo Recall. Okay. Arizona Sunshine is the generic zombie one with the realistic as realistic as they can reasonably get gun physics and gun handling. So all the guns play and handle like they do with their real life counterparts, and you can find different makes and models of every gun out there. And basically in the game, they've added so many now. I'm not sure which ones aren't in the game. That might be easier to list. And it is way easier to hit these things when you have a proper graphics card, and the zombies actually have a render distance that's not, 3 feet in front of your face.
Does it have Kiritsugu's Thompson Contender yet?
The Thompson Contender is actually there is a Thompson. I don't know if it's a Contender. But it's a long barrel. It's not a single shot. It's got 5 bullets in it in each magazine. So you got 5 shots with it before you have to reload it. But it's a fun time killing zombie game. I genuinely enjoy it, despite it being more zombies in an age where we're done and bored out of zombies. Just because the gunplay is novel enough. The gunplay is novel enough that it totally sells it. There's a mini boss in the middle of this batch of garbage.
Yeah, I just got to roll over by it.
Yeah, he's a humanoid one, but yeah. Oh, he just one-shot me.
Yeah, he hurts. Don't let him touch you.
I can't get out from under him. You need to res us.
Oh dear! Don't be dead. Whoop.
I didn't have a choice.
Okay, I got him dead. Can I get you both from here?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Excellent.
So, but yeah, just playing with the different guns and seeing how different gun models shoot and what makes them different, because they really do shoot differently. The amount of recoil on guns, even though you can't feel it, the gun will kick and it will adjust your aim because the gun will pop up by a certain amount.
Oh dear, my inventory's full.
Oh, that could be bad. Mine might be full too, or getting close to it. I have to check that in a minute.
I cleaned it after the break.
But yeah. I really enjoyed that, going through that game again. And the DLC is pretty chunky for the second DLC. The first DLC is pretty light, but it's super cheap. The second DLC is a whole, 3.5 missions worth, which for that game is about 2.5, 3 hours. With a whole lot of new guns to play with, although I hope you like using pistols for the first half of it, because there ain't a whole lot of anything else.
That's not bad, though.
For the rest of it. For the first bit of it.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
So that's a fun game if you like playing around with guns and you just want to know what makes guns different. Even though you don't get the physical tactile sensation, you get a good idea of what makes, an M9 different from a 1911.
All right.
For reference.
One of them is made by filthy Italians.
Yeah.
Right,
for reference, the 1911 is way better.
Yeah, now that you've had a chance to play with a proper system, how would you compare the standalone unit to that now?
Oh, the tracking is way better on the Rift S, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing I've noticed is when you have a proper graphics card installed and your batteries are not about to die, the thing always knows where your hands are, whereas the Quest will get confused sometimes and can be slow to react with your hands once in a blue moon. And you will have your hand get stuck in things and lodged into weird places, and you'll be walking away from something with your hands still attached to the desk in some games. This is not uncommon. Yeah, that's not uncommon when you're playing on a bad graphics card or the Quest.
Yep.
But with a 1080 and a Rift S, I did not have this problem at all with any of the games on replay.
Nice.
So that was way better. In general, it works better with tracking, and SteamVR finally added a reset your standing position button, like this week.
You'd think that'd be one that would be there right from the very beginning, because it's kind of important.
Well, it was there, but it wasn't a standing position. You had to reset the position of headset button, but it was in developer settings on your computer, and you had to put the headset.
On the PSVR, that's the start button.
The
start button.
Yeah.
Don't press the start button.
Yeah, so you can double tap the menu button to bring up the Steam dashboard like you would Shift Tab in the game.
Yep.
Oh goodness, I'm stunned. And I'm being
bad.
lasered. Yeah, Fern, you're right in the middle of all this mess. But yeah, it was just not an option on Steam VR for a while, which I run all my games through Steam VR by using Oculus Tray Tool, so I don't have to be, locked to the Oculus first-party app garbage, because that store is awful. Just terrible. And you double tap the start button and it pulls up the Oculus Quest, or not the Oculus Quest, the Steam VR dashboard. And now there's just a little button on there you can push to reset your standing position. And this helps a ton because previously, this is my biggest problem playing on PC, was if you get turned around and twisted around and need to reset your view because you're about to walk out of your play area, that you can't do that. Without putting the headset on the ground, going to your computer and resetting it in the developer setting.
Yeah, this is like a bit of an oversight, that.
Yeah, so they finally just added it as a button on the dashboard, and I'm so glad they did. And it's better than doing it on the controller, I think, because you don't have to do it frequently enough in games that it becomes a problem. But it's something that really should be accessible. So the Steam VR got much more playable the second they added that. So that made it way better. What other games did I play? I played some new games too. I played The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. Now I know what you're thinking. Is Walking Dead game all Walking Dead games are hot garbage? And yes, but before I played Saints and Sinners, I would have 100% agreed with you. Saints and Sinners is different. It is a survival game in the truest sense. Not so much horror, because the zombies can spook you if they catch you off guard, but and you do need to use sound, and the zombies make zombie noises, but it's not a horror game. It's a survival game. And there's a main story that you need to progress through, and you progress through it. As you progress through the story, you are forced to take certain parts on the subsequent day in-game, and every time a day passes, resources dwindle, so there's less medicine, less good food that you can use to restore stamina and health around, and in the world, and that gets rarer and harder to find. And the number of zombies increase. And while you can go run around and shoot stuff, this takes bullets, which are you have to make yourself, or pick out of dead human enemies, which are finite in number, or you can do stuff like find a bottle and break it and stab it in the back of a zombie's head.
I mean, it works.
And that's a silent takedown and does not take any resources, because bottles only give you sharp edges that you can use in crafting, which are basically useless because everything gives you those. So, and the whole point of the game is to go out into one of the maps each day and collect as much valuable junk as you can around in the area while not getting owned by zombies, and progress the story as far as you reasonably can before you have to go back to base to either salvage what you got because you got a limited inventory, or you need to go back to base because the story is locked, and you need to go to the next day to progress it. So finding the delicate balance of, can I really waste another day and lose resources and have more zombies to just go back and empty my bags, is a question that makes this game actually a survival game and fairly stressful at some points. I didn't finish it, but I'm making good progress in it.
Okay.
And yeah. I'm really enjoying it. It's a proper survival game.
Yeah. So
not like Minecraft survival mode or any what people call survival mode now. It's actually a survival game.
And it's a game about actual survival.
Yeah. Like, the only thing it doesn't have that you would consider a staple for that genre is you do not have to eat food to survive. Like, you won't die of starvation, but your stamina bar will get so low that you won't be able to sprint.
So pretty much everything else will kill you instead.
Yeah, you will just die because you have no energy.
Yeah. See, normally when you say it's a Walking Dead game, there's maybe the exception of the first Telltale game, but everything else Walking Dead related has been poop.
Yeah.
But that one actually sounds really engaging.
And it's fairly long. I'm 2-ish hours into 2 or 3 hours into it, and I am nowhere near the end of the story. There's still like more than half of the areas I need to unlock. I'm maybe about a third the way through the areas unlocked, and I haven't even come close to exploring any one of them so far.
I'll be honest, I thought you were going to say more than half of the cast is still alive.
Well,
I doubt.
No. You know one other dude. The story is you're in Nolens. And Nolens has flooded after the zombie apocalypse. So the citizens of New Orleans are having trouble surviving, but there's this rumor of this place called the Reserve with a bunch of government supplies that never got distributed. And you find somebody that thinks they know how to get in touch with somebody that can point you in the right direction of where the Reserve is, so you can get people supplies when there aren't any to go around right now. So you have to go around and collect clues about this place while taking on the various factions that have made Nolens their home. And
you're going to find that guy, and he's going to be dead.
Well, the guy that tells you he's going to help you find the guy turns up dead in the prologue.
There you go.
You're going to his bus, as this turns out that eventually becomes your home base, like right after you meet him, and you find him strung up by his ankles, hanging from a rope, dying and bleeding out, and he dies.
Yeah, that sounds like Walking Dead.
And a cool thing about this game I've noticed is in the Walking Dead universe, whenever all humans are infected with the virus. So no matter where you are or who you are, if you die, you become a zombie.
Yes.
So what you can do, if you're fighting a bunch of human enemies and they have a bunch of guns and you don't have a whole lot of ammo, you can just shank a guy in the stomach, and as long as you didn't break his brain, when he comes back to life, he'll be a zombie, and he won't particularly care who he goes to eat.
Interesting.
So he'll just try and munch on his buddies and distract them for a bit while you can come up behind him and stab a screwdriver in their head.
Yeah, so take one out and then hide and let the zombie do the work.
Well, he won't stay alive for very long because it only takes one headshot to kill him. But they have the aim of stormtroopers when it comes to shooting at zombies. So,
if people didn't have the aim of stormtroopers, most zombie apocalypse stories wouldn't carry on for very long.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that was a very happy surprise. It had been recommended to me by somebody at some point, and I saw all the reviews for it. So when it was on sale, I just scooped it. Actually, no, I had this one in my library for a while. I think I just hadn't got around to playing it. But
you just went through.
Yeah,
okay.
That was a cool one. And the other game I poked at was Until You Fall, which is a roguelike VR game. And normally I hate roguelikes, but there's enough novelty in this one with how it plays that I think I could stomach it. It still points against it in my book, but that won't be the case for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it works is you dual wield 2 weapons, and you're sent on the standard roguelike affair to progress as far as you can, die, buy a few upgrades, and then try again. Well, in this one, you dual wield weapons, and all enemies have the exact same gimmick going on here. They have a guard bar, which you have to break, and then you have to do full follow-through swings to combo on the enemy after you break their guard. And you break their guard by parrying their attacks by holding your sword at the appropriate angle to block their attack as they're swinging at you. And they're all humanoid except for the boss. I got to the boss monster once, and he's a bipedal, beastie-looking dude that's like twice your size.
Huh.
But it was really cool. I was actually really impressed with it. It's still in early access, and I haven't poked that much at it, but I've been really enjoying it. And probably will poke more at it later when I, probably have to listen to something and not think about the game I'm playing too much, like The Dresden Files, which comes out in 2 days.
Yes. So looking forward to this. As far as I know, I'll actually might just give this a quick double check, but the audiobook should come out at the same time.
It does.
Yeah.
And before last minute delay.
I have it pre-ordered. It says the download will begin at 11 p.m. the day before.
Sure it will.
Well, the point, do I have an Audible credit?
I don't know. Do you?
I don't know. I'll have to look. Anyway. So yeah, it's been so long since the last book. Now I've got to remember where we were up to.
Or at book 16.
Yeah.
What was the last book? I don't remember what it was called.
In game.
Right. Wait, even I read that one. That must mean I actually got caught up, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Came out in 2015, 14, something like that.
Yep. Something like that. All right. Anything else, or shall we start looking at wrapping up?
I think we can start wrapping up. That's my treatise on what I've been through with the VR stuff. I've been impressed with VR. I've really fallen in love with it. I didn't get it back when it was first coming out and everybody was talking about it, and you really can't get it until you just screw the headset on your head. I just got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 6, 9, 11-star arms from that boss.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. It was I think the one that was dropping the good gear was actually one of the ones in the middle of the game, wasn't it?
No, you picked it up at the boss.
Okay.
It's got the boss. It looks like them.
Oh, okay. Oh, you've got the hideous arms, do you?
Yeah.
How hideous are we talking here?
They're pretty bad.
Oh, go see this.
Are you still on the ship?
I went through the shop.
Okay, I'll come out of the ship. I'll return to lobby, and we'll equip these things and see how ugly they are. I'll have to go upgrade them. And stick some augments on them, because they only got 2 augments.
There you are.
Okay, let's put these things on.
What's the urgent quest?
Wow.
Oh, it's the new one.
Oh, yeah.
Those are awful.
Oh, man. That's bad.
That is really bad.
Also, I think I might have to keep these shown.
Yeah, I think you might. I keep getting the ones that drop from the tank boss, which are essentially just some variety of cardboard box. Oh, right. I forgot about that. All right. So we should probably wrap up the show because we're at time.
Yep. So I think we're done for the week. Any closing comments?
I wish the games industry would get off its tuchus and actually start doing stuff again.
Yeah.
These things hitch my dress.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It's like, I've got it to hitch a few times.
All right.
I don't have them upgraded yet, so I'm going to equip the other ones for now.
All right, we should probably actually end the show before we start this.
Okay.
All right.
All right, folks. I think we are done. We'll see you next week. Sayonara. Bye-bye.